Hey, what's up people? I'm Mike. Welcome back to the garage here with the GSS550 build. In this video, we're working on engine paint. Since the last video, there's a lot of work that has happened, and the video you're gonna see now I recorded back when it was cold. You'll see I think I have on a hoodie in the video, and now it's July. It's hot outside. It's rainy right now, which is actually helping it cool down a little bit, so I appreciate that. But here you'll see I'm gonna take some parts off of the engine. I think I've already cleaned it at this point. We'll do a little bit of priming, and then we're gonna paint the engine. It was actually quite a fun process. The engine paint, VHT, I don't know if I did something wrong or it's just not great paint. I know I've heard the name a lot, but it didn't perform like I thought it would. It's at this point, anytime I bump something into it, it still scratches off really easily. Maybe just because it hasn't been heated up. I don't know. I don't know how this is supposed to work. But it looks good enough. I think it's fine for what it is. If I learn to hate it over time, I wouldn't mind yanking the engine out and giving it more a fresh coat of paint or whatever. But anyway, we're gonna run with it how it is. You'll see at one point that I had to sand off some of the paint. After I painted it, I recognized that some of the nicks in the side covers, I think one of the covers is the clutch return cable or something like that. There are some pretty big nicks in the side of it, and once I painted it black, it showed up way too well. So I went ahead and sanded that back off, I ended up putting Bondo in the nicks to fill it in. I actually had to do a third round because I put way too much Bondo. That was my first time ever doing Bondo. And you can see the imperfection or the waviness of where the filler is versus the base metal. So I ended up sandblasting all the paint back off and sanding down the Bondo to a point where it only filled in the nicks, and it looks a lot better now. So I'm pretty happy with the turnout after 3 rounds. You know, a lot of this is trial and error. Again, I'm no expert at this. I'm just learning as I go along. So, but anyhow, I'm gonna shut up. Check it out, and make sure you hit the like button, subscribe so you can follow along with these videos as I put them out. I've already filmed the next video in the series, which is the engine assembly after all the painting and everything like that. So after this video comes out, I'll start to edit the engine assembly video, and that will be the next one that comes up. So let's get to it. All right, here I'm taking out the valve shims. I've already gotten the clearances marked down from measuring them prior with a feeler gauge, and so I'm really just recording the numbers here so I know which sizes I need to order. Apart from scraping the gaskets off the mating surfaces, this is probably the part of the build that I enjoyed the least. All the prep work involved in getting everything masked off and getting ready for paint was just so tedious. You can see there that after putting the masking tape on, I used a razor blade to go around the contours of those mating surfaces just to make sure there wasn't excess tape hanging over and blocking off areas that I did want to paint. And it was, here you can see that a little bit of that work where I was sort of cutting the extra tape off with the blade. It was just a tedious job. This is the point where I had to sand off the paint from the first time around, since the nicks that were in the covers were so pronounced. They were pretty much unacceptable, so I had to sand off the paint. After I got that done, I threw some Bondo on there, which is not in this video, but I put Bondo on there to cover up the nicks. Again, I put way too much Bondo on there, so after I put another coat of paint on there, it showed through. And I ended up sandblasting that paint off, sanding the Bondo way down to a point where it only filled in the nicks and didn't have like all the excess that I originally put on. So here I had the idea that I just grabbed some sandpaper and sand the paint off the edges of the fins to give it that polished look. And then I switched to a block in the sandpaper just to get a little bit more force on there, keep it a little straighter. Still wasn't working, so I pulled out the big guns. It was sanding the paint off, but I still felt like the edges of the fins were so thin that the shine or the silver on the bare metal wasn't really going to show well. So I decided to grab the Dremel, and it's not only taking off the paint, but it's also flattening the profile of the fins, so then they no longer come to that really sharp point at the end. It sort of flattens them out, gives them a wider profile so you can actually see the metal there. I'm fairly satisfied with how it turned out. There's still a little detail work that I want to do on the engine to call it done, but it looks pretty good to me. It'll pass the 10-foot test, I think. So hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and continue to follow me as I continue on with this build. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video.